Hello, you lot. Welcome to the group chat sponsored by Betfair from Footy. Accumulators with me, Will Perry, and Mr. Alan McInally. Al, I want to kick off talking about Liverpool because, I mean, look, even as a City fan, no one in the world would wish that on Virgil van Dijk. It was so awkward. It was so horrible to watch. I mean, look, we don't have to be neutral now, do we? A week on, it was a clear red card. Clear red card. But have you ever had an ACL? You've never had anything as serious as that?
No. My injury, I mean, I went from... my injury that finished my career was in training, and it was actually the young boy, Alan Nielsen, young Danish lad who went to Spurs, you probably remember.
Yeah.
He fell on my leg, sort of pushed me this way, and my cartilage, and I had a bit of a bone problem. But my ACL was always intact, so that was a good thing. And then I tried to carry on, and then obviously... just impossible, and that was my career, just went like that, over. So you got to be really careful. So in that kind of terms, in my head when I heard, I was like, well, hopefully the knee's all right, but the ACL inside it can be repaired. So that's a good thing, obviously, that hopefully the cartilage, meniscus, and there's no bone damage, that hopefully Van Dijk will make a full recovery. Yeah,
I mean, look, it depends who you listen to and whatever, and obviously, you know, all the official lines are going to be kept close to Liverpool's chest, but there are reports that it's actually worse than first thought, and actually worse than an ACL. And, you know, and if that is the case, you know, does he come back? I heard Trevor Sinclair talking on the radio. He's had nasty injuries as well. Does he come back as the same player when he does come back, Al?
Yeah, that's a problem. Psychologically, it's hard because, I mean, and this is a good topic for me to talk, because I was in the gym every day for 8-9 months, and I mean every day. And it's hard when you look out the window and you've just finished a set of something, whether you're doing, you know, keeping your muscles strong and you're building trying to build the joint up. You look out the window and all the lads are training outside. It's really tough, genuinely tough.
What does that do, Al, for, you know, in terms of, I mean, mental health is far more recognised these days from when you were playing. It was more a case of, right, strap his head up and get on with it. Whereas, you know, what is that going to do to... You get the impression, Virgil van Dijk, we both met him, he's a colossus as a man, and you get the idea that physically and mentally he's very, very strong. But his mental health is going to be tested, isn't it, over these...
Don't worry about that. I don't remember anybody ever saying to me about my mental health, ever. Not even now, incidentally, because they probably look at me and think, oh, McInally, big strong guy, etc., etc. I think Van Dijk's a bit more chilled, possibly. You know, he does carry himself, and he's quite a profound. Like, I always think he doesn't say an awful lot. You know, he's quite quiet, but he's still a kind of chill bloke. But it will test him mentally, for sure. Especially when he gets to a point that he thinks, my knee's getting better, hopefully, and he'll want to go then. That's when you want to go, and somebody's saying, whoa, easy, listen, just, you know, there's a path we have to take here, and you can't come too soon. And of all the players for Liverpool to get injured, and it's not good for anybody to get injury, then, you know, he was probably the one that, you know, Liverpool are pinning their hopes on, A, to retain the title, and B, to win the Champions League again. It's very difficult, and I can speak from, you know, personal experience. One injury like that, a tackle like that, finished my career. I trained on the Thursday, gone. That was me done. And it's the hardest thing to deal with. And I hope that doesn't happen to him. And I hope it's not as bad as what people are talking about. The docs have done the good thing, repaired the joint, and he can come back and prove just, you know, what a Rolls-Royce defender he really is.
Yeah. And are we already then, Al, going to draw comparisons to Manchester City season before last, winning the title comfortably? Well, not comfortably, but, you know, they got there in the end, didn't they? Pipping Liverpool to it. And then losing Laporte the next season. Because, you know, Laporte, Van Dijk, they are the rock of defenders in those two clubs. So are we already saying that without Van Dijk, Liverpool's odds completely changed for being title winners?
For sure. I said on television last night, I don't think they'll win the Champions League, because that really is a difficult place to go without a defender like Van Dijk.
Your boys will win again when they Bayern will win that again.
Well, I did the game against Atletico Madrid, and boy, did they look good. And incidentally, they bullied Atletico Madrid. How often does that happen to a Diego Simeone team? So they'll be close for sure. I just don't see Liverpool having... See, you have to remember, it's easy to write things off at the moment, and Liverpool went to Ajax, got a result. Fabinho played in the back, and all's well, albeit they got a little bit of luck with their own goal. So, great. I'm saying the title domestically is really tough. Without Van Dijk, it will be genuinely tough. But they do have a window in January to address that. Although I did hear Klopp sort of poo-pooing that idea as though I don't need to be buying anybody in January. But I do think in his head he'd be looking at one of the defenders, likes of Koulibaly or Skriniar at Inter Milan, who's only 25. I think he's quite good. The boy Romagnoli at AC Milan, and obviously everybody's talking about, is it Upamecano?
Yeah.
But, it's going to be difficult. I don't want to write Liverpool off for the title. Domestically, I had said they won't win the Champions League without Van Dijk because he's that important in Europe for sure. But you bring a great point up about Manchester City, and that's why I think Man City will be close Champions League this year as well as domestically. It's because Laporte looks as if he's coming back. The boy Diaz looks pretty good. And all of a sudden, Liverpool are looking across that M62 thinking, we were in that position last year and we're not now.
Yeah, and of course, Matip and Gomez is not a combination they ever use in the Premier League, and it's something that they might have to do. Or you think, like they did in the Champions League, that Fabinho will be that sort of, central defensive figure until they work it out. Look, one name that was mentioned, and I know Jamie Carragher was messing around the other night, but he called out his mate Connor Coady, who's been in unbelievable form. Obviously started at Liverpool, came through the Liverpool youth team, 27 years old. Liverpool through and through, Scouser through and through. Could he be the answer? Could they in January go, look, if Van Dijk is going to be out for the season, there you go, 50 million quid, we'll have Connor back, thank you.
It's certainly a possibility. I mean, I've spoken about Connor Coady quite a lot because I'm a big fan, because I think where he's come from has been a tough path for him, incidentally, and now he's an England international and with a goal. And I would imagine one of the first players in the Wolves team sheet. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, not because he hasn't done well. I just don't see him on the radar of Jurgen Klopp, and I'm looking into Jurgen's brain as though I think I know what I'm talking about here. I'm going to say I don't think so, and it's nothing against Connor Coady because he's done such a great job. But as you've mentioned it, you've thrown me a curveball there because I did hear it, but right away I was like, I don't think Liverpool will go for Connor Coady. I genuinely don't. I might be wrong, but I genuinely don't think they will. And I think he will already, Jurgen Klopp, have spoken about this to whoever he needs to speak about with a checkbook and say, by the way, here's 3 names. And if we need to get one of them, then I'd like to get them in January. And by the way, there is no way Liverpool are saying no if Jurgen Klopp wants a defender in January. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Right. Okay, let's talk about Chelsea, Al. Defensively, look, I think I'm the same as you because, we did the Bundesliga shows together, didn't we? During the lockdown and sort of, March, April, May, whenever that was. And we're huge fans of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. And I still think they will be Premier League golden boys in years to come if they stick around. I really do. I think they're exceptional. And look, the problems aren't really up front, are they? They are at the back. Defensively, what is going on at Chelsea? They've shipped 9 goals, Al, this season in the Premier League games that they've played so far. But more worryingly than that, right, Frank Lampard has conceded 63, Al, 63 Premier League goals in 43 games since he took over at Stamford Bridge, which if you break it down into a games per goal percentage, that's the most of any Chelsea manager in the Premier League, which I found astonishing as a stat.
That is, I didn't know that one. I knew they were leaking goals, but I didn't think the ship was going down. I just thought we could put a couple of plugs in here and we'll get to the harbour and we'll fix it when we get there. But they are, I mean, even last week, you're in charge of the game, and I'd written a couple of names down there. Azpilicueta, who's good, plays right side, can play in middle. Zuma, Alonso, Emerson, Thiago Silva's come in to bring experience, and I don't know how good his English is, to be honest. To make sure, I don't know who speaks English in that back four. Christensen, I suppose. Reece James done brilliant, done really good. Yeah. Rudiger, Tomori, I think's done a good job, but collectively, I mean, I don't want to say shambles because I don't like speaking about football players like that. But the way they're defending is so bad. And I don't see a leader. I don't see somebody giving it, oi, remember what we worked on. Don't be dreaming. Don't be ball watching. Don't be whatever. Because it's not working. And what makes things even worse, Will, and and I'm conscious when I'm saying this, that everybody's giving the boy stick. But the day in the cup final, when Kepa wouldn't come off, was the day they should have went, time to go, kid. And I can't believe he's still there. And yes, they brought a new goalkeeper in, and he's presumably going to be, hopefully for Frank, better than they have. But Kepa in goal at right now is even bigger a calamity than the defenders, because no one has confidence in each other. You only have to watch them. And even if Chelsea go 2 up, as an opposition team, you're like, we'll get a chance. We'll get a chance. We'll get back in the game. And that's a problem for Frank.
Yeah. Look, I mean, just thinking of those names you threw out there, I think that Frank thinks his strongest back five, including the goalkeeper, is Mendy in goal, right back of Reece James, who he thinks is the future, even though Azpilicueta is the captain and obviously can come in and do a job, but hence why he was on the bench.
I agree.
Centre-backs, for now, Thiago Silva, who he brought in to be that voice that you've just said, and obviously is taking time to find his voice and had that mistake at West Brom, alongside Kurt Zuma with Ben Chilwell at left-back. So that, that's a hell of a lot of money that they've spent. But Al, those names you threw up in the air, there's so many defenders that you could throw them up in the air and still not work out who the best back five is. There's not an outstanding, unit coming together and saying, look, we're the ones.
That's the problem. And by the way, I apologise to Ben Chilwell. He's the only one I didn't throw in there, and I forgot they spent 50 million on him. Yeah. And he'll be good. He'll be fine. No problem. It's the middle two that's the problem. You might even find that Reece James and Ben Chilwell will be flying wing-backs, and they'll be happy with 3 because it's an extra defender for us until we get through this disaster run that they're on by, conceding goals.
Yeah.
Kurt Zuma, do you know when he's really good? I think he's good in the opposition's box. I think he's more of a goal threat than he is keeping the ball out the end. At Chelsea's end, I
thought Rudiger out, but all the talk that they're trying to move Rudiger on, and I thought
they don't want Rudiger. Well,
no.
I don't think they want him. I genuinely don't, and I think because of what you just said, I think they try to move him on. I think Christensen. I'm trying to think if I've seen him play a really bad game. I don't think he's that towering powerhouse that Frank wants, but I don't know whether I would trust him to do the simple things easier than Kurt Zuma thinking he's got to do something special, and then everybody will think I'm a great football player. There's one thing I always say to this, and I said it on the box the other night.
Yeah.
See, if you're buying a defender for 25 million or 300 quid or 100 million, he's a defender. Let me see if you can defend. Let me see if you can smell dangers, and let me see if you can organise a back 4 or a back 5 to say, oi, do you know what our job is? Not to play a beautiful pass out. We'll work on that one, but stop the ball getting in our net. That's what we need to stop. That's what I want to see in a defender. And we can work on everything else coming out the back 4, passing it to somebody that can pass the ball. That would help. And Frank must be pulling his hair out at the moment, seriously. Because everybody in the back 4 thinks they want to be Franz Beckenbauer, and all he wants them to do is defend and don't let the ball get anywhere near their goalkeeper. That's your job. Chelsea are doing that.
The worrying thing as well is when you look at this season, conceding 6 goals combined against West Brom and Southampton in the manner that they did concede those goals, that would be Frank sitting on the side thinking, what on earth is going on? He's probably watching a team that is so un-Lampard, isn't it? I mean, we think of Lampard as a player. Imagine Lampard being on the pitch when you've conceded 3 goals against Southampton and West Brom like that.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And it must be so frustrating for him. And by the way, it sounds as though I'm kind of having a go at Frank Lampard to a certain extent, because he must be one of the ones that have, he said, okay, I want X, I want Y, I want Z, A, B, C, etc., etc. I think he's done a decent job. But it's Chelsea Football Club. They've spent a lot of money, and they expect the standards are so much higher at Chelsea than they ever were. And Frank knows that. In fact, Frank actually built a base for exactly that. For the expectancy to be high, for the performances to be higher, and then we get good results, which takes us on to a level that everybody at Chelsea wants to be. At this moment in time, if you've got an opportunity to play Chelsea, you're delighted. Man United, having just played brilliant in Paris, must be like, Old Trafford, Chelsea coming to us, the way they're playing. Man United should be 1-5 to win the game.
Yeah. Look, I really want your opinion out on Mesut Özil, the mystery man.
Oh, boy.
That is Mesut Özil. Listen to this, right? He's 32 years old. We all know, don't we, how good he can be. When he's good, he's great. What's that nursery rhyme? And when he's bad, he's awful. Yeah. That's what he is. However, he's 32 years old. he earns, Al, I know it's not all about money, but I'm just going to throw this out there. He earns £350,000 a week, reportedly, okay, around that figure. So I, in my little calculator, have worked out that since he last played for Arsenal, which was the 7th of March last season, that was pre-lockdown against West Ham, Arsenal beating West Ham, that's £9.8 million that he's earned without even playing a single second for the club.
I don't know what to say. I mean, first and foremost, it's kind of incomprehensible that someone can make that much money. On Ozil's defence, if someone puts a contract in front of you, and I'd like to know the other two signatures on the contract, by the way, because there's two people at Arsenal have said, there you go, I'll counter-sign it, you sign it, you're on $350,000 a week. Now that is astonishing. The fact that he's not actually contributing anything to Arsenal Football Club in terms of on the pitch is sad for Mesut Ozil. But if everybody's got confidence in Mikel Arteta, and Arteta's decided, you're not in my Champions League squad, and you're not in my Premier Division, my Premier League squad, then we have to go with the manager because you've given him the job, and everybody seems to be quite happy. So I don't think I think Arteta's in a position where he obviously doesn't want Mesut Ozil in the team, obviously, because he would at least be in the squad. But the situation for him making that kind of money is really going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way. But you can't blame Mesut Ozil for earning that money because somebody gave him the contract. But what you could have a go at him is when he was playing, it looks as though he was doing enough, and that's what people don't like about him, Will. I mean, Will, you watch a lot of football, and you've watched a lot of Mesut Ozil. Would you have him in your squad at least?
Well, when he's at his best, 100%. But like you said, the fact that Mikel has left him out of his Europa League and Premier League squads, which means he can't play, Al, until at least January. He can't play till January. So that's another, what's that? Another, £1.8 million a month until January. It's another £5 million in the bank. And again, I reiterate, it's not about the money, but Mikel Arteta, Al, to me, seems a very, very reasonable man. Doesn't he?
Me too.
Very reasonable guy.
And that's why I think there's something wrong, Will. That's why I think there's something wrong.
So that's what I want to ask you. What is that? Because, let's speculate. And obviously there's the mental health side of things, whichever. We're not going to hammer Mesut Özil. We don't know what's going on in Mesut Özil's head and behind closed doors. But you hear Arsene Wenger this week come out and say that, he's a really great guy, Mesut Özil. He was the one who signed him, of course, Arsene Wenger. And then you think Mikel Arteta, like where is it going wrong between these two really great guys?
I have no idea, and it is so puzzling. And by the way, don't think that Mesut Ozil doesn't give to charity. Don't think he doesn't give to, charities that he thinks is, he wants to back, etc. It's not as if he's keeping all the money at home, giving magic. I don't even need to play football. That won't be the case, but it has to be resolved, and I can't believe it's dragged on this long. And the fact that we're talking about it, I'm thinking, he hasn't played since March. As a football player, you must be like, any chance?
Yeah.
But did you want to play? Does he want to play?
He's 32, so you kind of think, look, this is his last chance to have sort of 2 years max, if he's lucky, on the biggest stage, isn't it? With Arsenal potentially getting back into the Champions League. And even if it's not at Arsenal, to have 2 years somewhere playing where fans cheer your name, because as you know, once you've retired, you're a forgotten man.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, as an old football player now, my playing days were fabulous and didn't at any point get anywhere near $350,000 a week. And there lies a bit of the problem, Will, in modern day football. If you give a football player really, really high, top, $100,000 plus wages, unless you are so conscientious, unless you have it in that you love football so much, and you will give every single thing. When you sign a football player, you ask him, I want you to turn up on a Monday to a Friday, I want you to train and give me your best. On a Saturday when the whistle blows, I want you to sweat, I want you to try your best, I want you to give me everything you've got, and I want you to go home to your family and tell them I did quite well, and here's the money. That's all I ask of you. Now, you couldn't really ask that of Mesut Ozil. Has he genuinely done that? Has he genuinely done what Arsenal wanted him to do? Now he's not getting the opportunity to do it. That's a problem. If you and I were at another football club and we were thinking, right, let's go for Mesut Ozil, you need to go like that right away. All right, okay. We can't afford that. We can't afford it. who can afford that kind of money, and B, if you're making that kind of money, you want them to be so good, so quickly, and really influence the game. And Mesut Ozil hasn't done that for a long time. It's such a poor situation for Mesut Ozil and for Arsenal fans, by the way, that are thinking, we've got a player that doesn't play and earns that kind of money. It's a joke. That's what they'll be saying.
Last thing on Ozil as well. This is what I can't understand, Al, because look, you were no nonsense as a footballer. You put yourself about and you gave everything, during those 90 minutes. If I was a footballer, I'd be a Paul Dickoff. I'd be a wasp. I'd just be in people's faces. But I'd be giving absolutely everything, and I'd be running my socks off until the last second, right? Even if you haven't got the maximum ability of someone like Özil. But what I don't understand with footballers is when you see someone like Mesut Özil, a.k.a. Dimitar Berbatov, Nicholas Anelka, these sorts of players who have bags and bags of ability, probably more than they can ever even realise themselves. And yet they go through these situations where on the pitch they carry themselves around slumped with shoulders over and, I don't really care, and my body language is like this. I just want to grab them and shake them and say, this is happening now. People are watching you. And, life is so short. Like, why do you not want to play? And go back to that point, why do you not want to play and give absolutely everything? You've got enough money. You're going to be fine. Your pension pot's more than comfortable. Okay, we could talk about him for ages. Let's move on and talk about Wayne Rooney, who incidentally is 35 this week. Al, happy birthday, Mr. Rooney!
Yeah, happy birthday, Wayne.
Still going, isn't he? In the Championship, still scoring goals. Scored a worldie with a free kick the other week, didn't he, for Derby? But Derby is struggling, Al. And there's been this story, there's been this narrative at Pride Park where Philip Cocu is supposedly on the brink, and Mel Morris is going to pull the plug any minute, and Wayne Rooney potentially could be that man. He's already part of the coaching staff under Cocu there, but could be the main man. Would that be, firstly, for Wayne Rooney, the right move? Obviously, he's coming towards the end of his playing career, but he wants to go. I've spoken to him one-on-one, and he's told me how desperate he is to be a manager, and we know that's the route he wants to go down. Is this the right opportunity for him?
Well, he's been in the football club for quite a while now. So in terms of knowing how the place runs, he obviously has a good relationship. Well, I think he has a good relationship with Mel Morris, who I did hear on the radio saying that Cocu wasn't under any pressure and they weren't going in that direction. But if you start losing games the way Derby are losing games, or not performing as well as you expect to, and incidentally, when we talk about, and we have done on the group chat, about the expectations, Derby is one of the teams that have huge high expectations and don't want to be playing in the Championship.
Yeah,
I think Cocu's under pressure. I genuinely do. Whatever an owner of a football club says, I don't really listen that much in terms of the manager's safe, because let's face it, every single manager in the world, and I'm going to take out maybe 5 in the planet, are really warming up the seat for someone else that's on its way in. And I think Wayne is probably destined, having been at Derby, will probably be his first job. I really do. They have not been as good as what they've expected to be. And I don't really know how much Philip Cocu spent in terms of transfer will, to be honest. I don't know how much money or what players he's specified to Mr. Morris that he wants to bring into the club. But they're not doing as well as they should be with the players they've actually already got at the club. And I do think that Wayne is probably next in line for that job. I think Cocu's under more pressure than what the owner has conveyed to everybody, even to the Derby fans.
Yeah, they haven't spent a lot. I think they had a couple of undisclosed and a couple of frees, but they've not spent a lot, and they've shipped a lot out as well. But listen to this for Derby, right? They scraped past Barrow in the EFL Cup on penalties for the end of the season. They then lost out in the Championship to Reading. They lost in the League Cup to Preston. They lost in the Championship to Luton. They lost in the Championship to Blackburn. They got a great win at Norwich. Looks like the ship had turned. Then they go and lose at home to Watford and away at Huddersfield. They've got 3 points from the 6 games in the Championship this season. Sheffield Wednesday are catching them up despite their points deduction. And they've got a massive game. Listen to this one. Forest against Derby. We know how much that game means anyway. The Brian Clough Derby. That's up next for Derby on the 23rd of October. That is, that could be the one, couldn't it? Win or lose.
Well, by the way, if you ever get to go to a game, then that's one you need to go into, because they just don't like each other. There's a great atmosphere. I know there's no fans there, but there's still that kind of ill feeling between Forest and Derby. That might just be the one, genuinely, and it'll come from, although the fans are not there, you know, the social media, etc., etc. It will carry some weight when it gets to boardroom level, and that's it. And by the way, I watched Nottingham Forest beat Blackburn the other week there, and I can't remember who was talking about it, but they didn't even answer the question properly. Someone asked somebody, says, "What will Chris Hughton bring to the table?" And it was like, "Oh, not an awful lot, really." And I thought, what? Chris Hughton will bring enthusiasm. He'll bring good organisation. He'll put an arm around somebody. He's easy to approach. He'll have that Forest team completely different. Go to Blackburn, win the game, and you're like, started already. This is a tough game for Derby. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. Do you think, just lastly on Rooney, do you think that he can be a top manager? When I say that, I'm talking about a manager, you know, at the top level. Can he be a Steven Gerrard, a former player who's been a great player, a Frank Lampard? Will he get an opportunity to be managing in the Champions League at a Premier League club?
That's really it's a difficult one to answer, but the only way you can answer is say yes, because he has incredible experience. I think he can lift the phone up to almost anybody and ask for advice. In terms of when you're on the football pitch and the manager says, "I want you to do this," Wayne can do that. And I think he'll carry enough gravitas that people will stiffen back up and go, "Right, okay, Wayne Rooney's the manager. Let's we need to get our finger out here." So I do think he'll have the opportunity, but is he going to be at the very top table eventually? Only Wayne can prove that to all of us, because no one can answer that question yet. Listen, I like Wayne Rooney. I've got a lot of time for him, always have. Had a good relationship with Wayne any time I've seen him. He's always quite a humble guy when I see him. He's probably scared of me, that's why. But he's always, and more so than anything else, his skill as a football player and his knowledge of football, he's got it all. Can he transfer it into being a manager? Let's see, and let's hope he has the opportunity. And I don't mean that in a bad way, that Philip Cocu's not going to be the manager of Derby. But if they don't get a result against Nottingham Forest, he might be a manager quicker than he thinks, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah. Do you know what he is? You're spot on with him. Look, this is coming from a City fan. I can't be too nice about him, but I remember having a chat with him in the tunnel with Mark Bright and Rooney post-match when they played Palace in the FA Cup last season. And I just saw his eyes light up when he was talking about management, and that he's doing all of his courses, all of his badges and everything. And that's where he wants to go. And that can obviously take you so far, because you get these great players, don't you, who are like, "Oh, I'm not quite sure if I want to do it." He's wanted to do it from day dot. And all the best to him. Your old boys, Villa, are they getting enough praise? Is Dean Smith getting enough praise? 4 from 4. What an unbelievable start. We've talked about how they've, addressed all of the problems which they had positionally over the summer, and bringing the likes of Matty Cash, as a proper right back, bringing Ollie Watkins up top. I mean, Grealish was the best signing of the window, getting him to sign on. Because that it just instills so much in the squad, doesn't it? If someone like him is going to stay when he could have gone anywhere, really. And they've really kicked on now. And all these players that they had, in the Championship that they brought from the Championship still there. You add in Ross Barkley as a loan signing, just giving them a whole different dimension. And why, Al, this is my question to you, why can Villa/Everton not do a Leicester?
I would absolutely love that to happen. It's a great start. I think the result against Leicester was just the shot in the arm that the whole football club wanted, as though, we survived by the skin of our teeth, but we're at the top table and we want to give it our best shot. And you're right, some of the players that Dean Smith, okay, let's address the first one. Dean Smith, is he getting enough respect? Are he getting enough praise? I think he is. But then you're thinking, well, 4 out of 4, no one else has gone 4 out of 4. But it's still really early. And I think even Dean will be like, all right, yeah, well, listen, we're in a great place. We're in a fabulous place. The only thing I'm smug about is that I said that Ollie Watkins was a Premier Division player a year and a half ago, and I'm glad that Villa have gone and got him. I think he'll get goals. And I think there's players in the team that will add to that and help him get more goals. And I talked about Ezra Konsa 3 years ago when he was at Brentford, or wherever he was. He was at Brentford at the time. And I said, as soon as I was like, boy's different class. This boy is so good, assured, good passer, come out, but could tackle, saw a bit of danger, was really good. And all of a sudden he gets into the Villa team now. I think he actually might have bagged a goal. And I'm thinking, go on, son. Go and show everybody how good you are. And go and show, my beloved Aston Villa fans show them how good you are. He's genuinely fantastic. And go and make yourself an international football player. And I think he's part of the reason as well. And I think he's helped Tyrone Mings as good as Tyrone has been. Yeah. The two fullbacks are better. The whole thing. And the goalkeeper will. Don't underestimate bringing a top goalkeeper in like Martinelli. Listen, things are going in the right way. I'm always conscious when I speak about Villa that I don't want to hype us up too much. But I suppose really, to again answer your question in a rather roundabout and elongated way, and I apologise for it, why not? Why not with the players they've got and with another window coming up? The owners seem to be backing Dean Smith, which is a huge thing because he's gone to them and said, I want Grealish, I want Watkins, is it Traore's come in as well, etc., etc., etc. I want Barkley. And things are going in the right direction for Aston Villa. It's been a fantastic month for us, and long may it continue for sure.
Yeah, and look, when you look at their next 5, and look, we're maybe getting carried away, but you look at the way that they've started, and they've won 4 out of 4. Well, the next 5, Leeds, they'll fancy themselves against Leeds, the way that Leeds play as well. Yeah. Southampton, Arsenal's probably the trickiest one of the bunch in here. So Leeds, Southampton, Arsenal, Brighton, and West Ham. That is a great opportunity to maybe just lose one of those games the way that they're going. So who is more likely, Al, out of Everton and Aston Villa? Are you just going to say your old club because they're your old club, to pull off the unthinkable / finishing in the Champions League spots this season?
That's really good. I like that question. I'd rather say who's going to finish above each other.
Go on, then.
I can't. I was going to say. I was going to just double-hand it straight back to you and say, who do you think is going to finish up? I'm obviously going to go from old club, hopefully, but Everton look very good, very, very good. The players he's brought in have properly hit the ground running. They did get a little bit of luck because I didn't think Manny was offside, and this offside rule's doing my head in, by the way, because I think Liverpool, that should have stood and Liverpool should have beat them. But I'm going to go Villa because of the obvious thing. But I have a big attachment to Everton with all the guys I know there. And listen, both clubs are going to have a good season. It's as simple as that. I'll let you pick who's going to finish above each other. And can the impossible happen that one of them could actually win the Premier Division title?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to put my neck out on that, but I'm just going to say this season is the season, isn't it, for that sort of thing to happen again? Just given that anyone can beat anyone could lose against anyone. That's the trend that we've certainly seen so far. If Leicester can go to and win 5-2 and lose at home to win. Absolutely.
Well, just sorry to interrupt you, buddy. I was going to say, do you know what's important? Not important. Do you know what's really interesting about Everton and Villa this year? Yeah. I think last year the likes of City and Liverpool and Arsenal and Manchester United and Chelsea are thinking 3 points. This year they're thinking, this is much more difficult. That's how far Everton and Aston Villa have come. And it'll only, pan out to see just how strong they are when we look at the table at the end of the season.
Right, Sam Rosbottom's here. Al from Betfair. Good to see you, Sam. Okay, Akka time. Al, we're useless again. We've got to win one this season. Come
on, guys. Come on. You're letting me down here.
I know, we're a disgrace.
And by the way, seriously, Chelsea, I ain't betting Chelsea again until they beat anybody. I'm serious. I can't even believe that result last week. I mean, I thought I was being so smug picking Chelsea as well.
What do you fancy, Al, this week? I don't like the look of any of them, to be honest, but I'll let you go first.
I like Reading in the Championship. I think Ponovic has done a really good job. They look really difficult to beat. They play Rotherham, who are all right, but they haven't started great. So I'm going to go Reading. I'm probably going to get around even money. I don't think they're odds on. I'm sure I saw even money around with Betfair for sure. Sam will let me know. And the other one I'm going to do is Wolves, because I'm just a big favourite. I think they look really good. So my 2 is going to be Reading and Wolves, hopefully.
What they're looking like, Sam?
Yeah, I was going to say you're actually in luck, Al. They're just over even money at the minute. 21-20 Reading to beat Rotherham. They are absolutely flying at the minute. They've been, really impressive. A lot of a lot of people didn't really see Reading having the start that they've had, but they're absolutely flying at the minute and they're looking good. We all know consistency is key when it comes to the Championship, and these are the games that they really need to win if they do want to be up and around there when it comes to the end of the season. Like I said, 21-20 for Reading, the draw 12-5, 13-5 for Rotherham to go down there and get the result.
Right, I've not been drinking, but I'm going to go for Manchester United to beat Chelsea. Which
They're
is
a City fan going for United.
They're having a hell of a week, to be fair. They had the international break, then they came back and bounced back, you could say, with a good result at Newcastle, which in the past that could have been a tough one for Manchester United. And for most of that game as well, I think, against Newcastle, it was looking pretty tough, but in the end they got the job. And then the result against PSG,
brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic result. And they just looked comfortable, didn't they? They looked really, really comfortable.
Well, by the way, everybody's been saying that PSG weren't very good and they're not a great team. I think it's really because Man United were a different class and put them properly on the back foot and managed to deal with their top players. I've got to say, Mbappe, I think, is just like the toppest of top levels, but to keep him quiet, it was a fabulous result for Man United. So you're right, I'm kind of with you here, Will, because if Chelsea don't get their finger out, and they're under pressure, by the way, Chelsea, incidentally.
Yeah, I'm going to be there at Old Trafford. I just don't know what you get from Chelsea. They've conceded 9 goals in the Premier League, haven't they? No one thought that they were going to be this sort of inconsistent as they were last season, having made those signings, but they are. So I'm going to go for United at Old Trafford. And then, Sam, to finish it off, I'm going to go for Arsenal to beat Leicester.
Well, just going back to United, the 29-20 at the minute, draws 5-2. Chelsea are 9-5. So the early money's going for Manchester United in this one at Old Trafford, off the back of what's been a great week for them. Looking at the Arsenal-Leicester match, you're a Manchester City fan, Will. They go and beat City at the Etihad emphatically, and then they fall off a cliff since then. It's been a tough time, hasn't it, for Brendan Rodgers at the minute. They're Arsenal are the favourites. Their odds on at 10-11 at the minute, 13-5 the draw, 29-10 the result for Leicester. So very much, Arsenal's game to lose if you follow the betting.
That's the Premier League at the moment. Anyone's beating anyone. You can't predict anything, can you? So it's getting even tougher. So what's that coming out as with those 4, Sam?
So we've got Wolves in there as well at about 3-4. Reading 21-20. Arsenal 10-11, and United 29-20. Coming out at about 15-1 at the minute. But I'm sure we'll put a word in with our traders and we'll get that boosted for you.
Lovely.
Top man, Sam.
Yeah, we'll be up about 17. Won't we there, Al? 17, 18. We can push it going.
I will hope so. Having said that, if they gave us 100 to 1, it wouldn't matter because one of them is going to let us down.
Very true. Dan, good to see you, mate. See you next time.
Always a pleasure.
Al, good to see you, mate. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, pal.
There we go. That's it from this week from the group chat with me, Will Perry, Alan McInally. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you when we're cashing in our winning Akka next week.